Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the 360 show. It's great to see you all. We've been having a few live sessions of late, but this one is a little bit different and back to the normal format. We'll be covering a lot of news, a bit of fitness news as well. We see there's some injury scares for the World Cup, the Cricket World Cup that is coming up. We'll also have a quick look at the Springboks and their performance so far and the big game coming up this weekend against Ireland. And then a little bit about Quinton de Kock and the fantastic ODI career he's had. We know he's called his retirement, and he's had another fantastic series against Australia, clinching that victory for South Africa. And South Africa actually looking pretty good all of a sudden for the Cricket World Cup. It's all happening on the 360 show, and let's hit it.
We're watching a very high-class player.
This is when you know everybody is at his best.
So this week, let's start with South Africa, the Proteas. We know they clinched that series against Australia in that final ODI at the Wanderers. It was an incredible series. Being 2-0 down, we all know what that feels like in life and in sport. It's not ideal, but to come back, there's nothing more rewarding than that. And the Proteas winning 3 ODIs against mighty Australia, the 5-time World Cup winners, Australia. That will boost the boys definitely going into the Cricket World Cup. There's been some incredible performances. I think of Heinrich Klaasen, Aiden Markram, Quinton de Kock, the bowlers eventually standing up, Ngidi, Rabada, Marco Jansen, Shamsi, Maharaj, all of them all of a sudden finding form at exactly the right time for South Africa. And what a great win. Let me tell you, it means a lot going into a World Cup to do something special like that in front of your home crowd, giving the people belief and getting the country behind you is always crucial in a World Cup. So the Proteas did exactly that. And let's cover a post here from Adam Gilchrist. He's hopeful that 5-time champions Australia will do well in India ahead of the Cricket World Cup. That's a little bit about Australia. So that's the flip side of the coin again, maybe losing a little bit of momentum and confidence in that series loss. But we all know what they're capable of in World Cups, and I don't think it will bother them too much. They're still a mighty team, a lot of talent, and always contenders in the Cricket World Cup. And then a quick look at Quinton de Kock in ODIs at home. Look at that incredible record, 52.77 average at a strike rate over 100. He's been huge for South Africa at home, particularly at home. But overall, his ODI record is also incredible, and he's had a fantastic career. Congratulations, Quinny. You are one of the most talented batters I've ever seen, and I think everyone around the world enjoyed watching you play and enjoyed the entertainment. We've seen some unbelievable knocks, and you always make the game look so easy. You just see the balls going to the boundary, and you think, how is Quinny making it look so easy? One thing that comes to mind for me is always driving on the up. That's something I always struggled with. All batters in the world struggle with to consistently do that. And Quinny, for some reason and somehow, had this incredible ability to drive on the up without missing out very often. What an incredible player. And there we see the scorecard, the 5 ODIs between South Africa and Australia. So Australia winning the first 2 there by big margins. Well, the first one was pretty tight, and then a big margin second one. Those were all in Bloemfontein. And then we started moving to Potchefstroom, Centurion, and Johannesburg. Now, that's all, if you know South Africa, that's all up in the Highveld. That's where the ball travels a bit further, and that's where the crowd's a bit rowdier. So maybe that played into the hands of South Africa, winning that first one, the third one in Potch by 111 runs, then 164 and 122. 3 huge wins by big margins in crunch games, and that'll mean a lot for South Africa. And then let's move on to something else. Congrats to the Proteas. Let's move on to the Springboks now. A bit more South Africa for you guys. We see an image of Makazole Mapimpi. It's called Nyalo, which in Zulu, I think in English it means forever or always. So for always Mapimpi, we see his record there, 40 tries in 26 test matches, and the Springboks looking in incredible form. Going into this weekend's game against Ireland, it's a huge game. It's a must-win for us. and it's a crunch game for the Springboks. That's where I think we'll be really tested for the first time in this World Cup. And going into the knockouts, a game like this against Ireland will be very crucial for the Boks. We see a tweet there by Jared Wright. Mapimpi equaled Brayton Paul's record of 26 tries for the Springboks, moving into joint 5th place. Sorry, so I'm correcting myself. 26 tries in 40 test matches, which is incredible. You see the records there of all the South African legends, Brian Abana, Joos van der Westhuizen, and Jacques Fourie, John de Villiers. What an incredible centre. Look at that, 27 tries and 109 test matches. They're all legends of the game, these guys. And Mapimpi in really good and fine form going into this big game against Ireland. And hopefully he'll have another blinder of a game. Very, very nice there by the Springboks. They're showing some good form going into some big games. Let's move on to the Asia Cup. Congratulations, India. What an incredible final. Winning by a huge margin. We saw Siraj picking up a lot of wickets here. I think it was 6 for not a lot of runs. And bowling Sri Lanka out for 50 odd. Winning by 10 wickets. Obviously, a little bit of disappointing final for the fans. But an absolutely perfect final if you're an Indian supporter and particularly Indian player. Going into a World Cup, those are the kind of things you want to do. You want to have great games of cricket. You want to build on the momentum and the confidence of the team. And an all-round really good team performance by the Indian cricket players. We see some post here from Sourav Ganguly. I said at the start, this is a very strong team. They looked superb throughout. Well done, Team India. Rohit Sharma, 2nd Asia Cup title. Well done to Rohit, Dravid, support staff, selectors, and all the team members. That's Dada saying his thing there. Really backing up Team India. And why wouldn't you? They almost just sort of hit that nail a little bit harder, saying we are the favourites for this coming World Cup. It's never an easy thing to carry, but nonetheless, they are the favourites. We see Irfan Pathan there at the bottom. What a sight this is to see Indian fast bowling like this. Best in the Asia Cup. Bumrah and Siraj, both incredible players. Siraj obviously getting those wickets in the final. And a little bit more about the player-focused man, Mohammad Siraj, the man of the moment. Viru is saying, too good, 21 overs in the match and done and dusted. Siraj was simply outstanding, and we have peaked at the right time before the World Cup. I fully agree, Mohammad Cave, also on the day of Siraj match winning 6 for 21. Recall his 0 for 76 on his debut. What a great turnaround from the young man. He is still young, even though we've seen him for ages, and we're very familiar with that face and that bowling action. The thing about Mohammad Siraj, I'm going to talk a little bit more about him because he's the player-focused man for us in this week's 360 show. I think what stands out with him is attitude, and we've spoken about this before on this series, is how attitude can really uplift you if you never give up and if you keep trying and you make your attitude catchy with your teammates. The people want you there. The fans want you there. And that's where you start doing some brilliant things and special things on the park. And Mohammad Siraj is one of those players. He always just keeps coming back. He's always in your face. And I've mentioned this before. The bowlers that I respected most are the guys that never gave up, that would always compete. Every single ball be in your face. And that's what Mohammad Siraj does well. He's not scared of trying his short ball. He's there in the batter's face. He's always trying to get you out. And the batters can feel that. And Sri Lanka certainly felt that in the final. What a fantastic turnaround from that start for Mohammad Siraj. And here we have some footage of him getting the 4 wickets.
Siraj, what a catch! A length delivery, it's that man Jadeja. Big shot, given! Straight across it! In the air, it's back-to-back wickets! Nearly the 4th. Is it the 4th? It is the...
Simply incredible, Bryce. Siraj there. Some soft wickets in between as well. Those are the pressures of a final. But the thing that stands out, as I mentioned earlier, is he keeps trying. He's always in your face. His catches are in place. And his attitude is spot on for the perfect fast bowler, if I can say that. He's always going to keep trying. Congratulations, India. Congratulations, Siraj, with that finals, the figures in the final. Simply incredible. And there we saw that incredible over, wicket, 4 runs, and another wicket. And that was it. That literally broke the backs of the Sri Lankan batters, and that was the end of that. Let's move on to some news about the English team. We saw that Harry Brook is in, Jason Roy out for that World Cup. We know Ben Stokes also made that turnaround back out of retirement. And the England squad, a lot of changes there, a lot of things happening, but the big one is Harry Brook. And we saw Kevin Peterson talking about it, saying that he bets that in that first World Cup game, we will see Harry Brook in the starting 11. I initially thought this is an incredibly weird post. Out of nowhere, does he have like information from behind closed doors, or where does this come from? And true words were spoken. There we see Harry Brook named in England's ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023 squad, but no place for Jason Roy, and we got to feel sorry for him. It's happened to him before. He's missing out on a few World Cups. He's had some back spasms in the series, and he didn't play a lot of cricket. And I think the English selectors maybe decided we can't risk this in a World Cup. Harry Brook is in good form. He's been scoring runs. Let's get him in. It's a huge call and very disappointing for Roy, so we feel sorry for him. And there's the squad, the English squad. It's finalised. The 15-man squad going to India for this year's World Cup. It's a very talented squad. We know what they've done in World Cups of late, and they will be contenders in this year's World Cup. There's no doubt about that. Ben Stokes admits that he planned the call-up or his comeback, whatever you want to call it. Very interesting there from Stokesy, and you can't blame him. He's one of the best players in the world with both bat and ball. You always can win your games of cricket. He scored this incredible 100, just getting back from that huge announcement of getting back from retirement. And yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. What a player. England need him in that squad. And no matter how you do it, you make a spot for him. You make a spot available. So yes, I know he caught some criticism for leaving it so late, but it says here it's always been planned. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about some other guy that also tried this before. It didn't quite work out for him. He's sitting right here. No hard feelings there. Then we see another post. Esha, this is a magnificent innings from Ben Stokes. He came out from retirement and stamped his authority in style. What a player. Let's have a look at the footage.
Slog sweep, didn't think it would be long coming. Into the crowd. Powerful man is Ben Stokes. Well, that's why it is that you can face 90 mile an hour. Pulled away leg side. Stokes doesn't even look where that ball has gone. He knows he's got it, and he's got it into the crowd.
Bit away from Stokes.
Goes again, doesn't look at it again, knows he's got it again. That's a big one.
Has been heaved away. Ben Stokes keeps going big.
He's an incredible player, isn't he? And as I mentioned, England need him in that squad. They need him in World Cup games. We know what he's done before. We watched that last World Cup where he was there right at the end. Everything fell into place for him and Team England to lift that World Cup trophy. And those are the kind of guys with chemistry, big match temperament kind of players, big moment players. You want those guys in the team. There's absolutely no doubt about that. There's never like a doubt in my mind that the minute he made his name or threw his name in that, made himself available, you have to just make a plan, get the man in the team. He's a team player, he's a big match player, and there we see him scoring 100 just from coming back out of retirement and just saying, guys, don't forget about me, I'm still here. That magnificent from Ben Stokes, and Team England look ready. All the teams look ready for the World Cup. There's some teams in great form, some in not such great form, and they don't have a lot of time to get into better form. I think of Pakistan. We saw some footage in the change room where there was a little bit of friction, a couple of fights here and there, which is absolutely normal. If I'm a Pakistan supporter, I wouldn't worry about that. I would actually be happy about that there's some leaders standing up and making their voices heard, and even arguing a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. You need that sometimes to settle the dust. And to say, or to look each other in the eye, to tell each other, listen here, this is how it's got to work. That is not on. This is how we play. And now we're going into the World Cup and we need to man up. So yes, I would be quietly optimistic and quietly confident as a Pakistani supporter or fan. I think they've done incredibly well to sort those things out in the change room. It's always a good sign. But at the end of the day, they'll have to find some form on the park. We know they're capable. And let's talk a little bit about all the other teams. South Africa team ready. Australia will be ready. England, Sri Lanka look ready, except for that final. It took a bit of a blow there. Pakistan sorted some things out. They'll be ready going into that World Cup. And Team New Zealand, let's not forget about them. For some reason, we never mention their names when it comes to World Cups. They will be there, believe me. They're fighters. They always make it work in big moments. And we saw them in that final of the last World Cup where England won, but New Zealand will be there and thereabouts again. All in all, very excited about the World Cup coming up. It's not so long anymore, and we're very excited to see who's going to lift that trophy. It's a big tournament. It's a long tournament. I will be spending some time in India in October and November, and I'm very much looking forward to get a little bit of that atmosphere and the vibe of the World Cup. In other news, and in this week's fitness segment, we'll be having a look at some of the injury worries. There are quite a few around. We'll start here with Tim Southee. He was in discomfort after hurting his thumb, attempting a catch, so worries there for Team New Zealand. And then for Team India, Akshar Patel, some issue with his left quadricep. He strained it, and that ruled him out of the Asia Cup. Very interesting. Washington Sundar was drafted into the squad for the final against Sri Lanka, and Ravi Ashwin, very interesting news, has been recalled for the first 2 ODIs against Australia. If you're a supporter, which I am, I'll be very excited about that. He's a very experienced campaigner, and he's someone that I think needs to be in the mix, especially if there's a spot available. Then, I've mentioned this before, Jason Roy is out of England's World Cup squad. Back spasms, a lot of cricket. Maybe his downfall there. Unfortunately for him, he's out, and Harry Brook in. And then Travis Head in the series against South Africa. He got a little injury there, a hand injury, and it seems like there's a slim chance of him making the World Cup after suffering a fractured hand in South Africa. Bad news there for Head, and Matt Short has been included in Australia's squad for the 3 matches against India. Although, interestingly, Marnus Labuschagne is the favourite to replace Head. And we mentioned this before in the last week's live show, that I think we will see Marnus Labuschagne in the World Cup. Very experienced, he's reliable under pressure, and those are the kind of people you want in the team when you need him most in pressure situations. Okay, right, then concerns grow for South Africa as Sisanda Magala only appeared once in that series against Australia. It's not looking promising for Sisanda with that knee injury. He's a guy that's very handy on slower wickets, especially with that cutter that he has. He can play a huge role for South Africa with both bat and ball, but it's not looking promising. And there's also doubts around Anrich Nortje with his back problems. Andile Pechluquayo could be in line for a call-up. We watched him play against Australia, hitting some big sixes in that final game. He's always been a handy player, and I've always rated him. But let's hope Anrich Nortje and Sisanda Magala will be fit. It is what it is in fitness. In the fitness segment, you can't control injuries. You can just give your best on the park, and sometimes the unforeseen and unlikely, terrible fitness injuries happens. And then finally, this week's question or quiz is South Africa have put together 400 plus totals in 7 ODIs. This most by any team. How many of them have I got hundreds in? Making it about myself again, you see. So there's a little hint. The digit in on the screen, somewhere in that frame of the 360. That's a little hint. I'm giving it away, sort of, but it's okay. But yeah, 7 ODIs, 400 plus. How many of them did I get 100 in? I hope you get it right. Please subscribe your answers in the box below. Also ask me some questions, because I will be doing a live session next week, Monday. Do not miss out on that. And this week was a recorded one. Next week we'll be live again. Do not miss out on the 360 show. Hit the bell notification, subscribe to the channel, and let's keep having some fun together. I hope you enjoyed this week's 360 show. Have a fantastic weekend.